investigating. So I called him in on Friday, set him down. We videotaped everything, and I used the skills on him. I smacked him around with the skills people. He went in trying to tell me how he was in charge. He was going to tell me how the conversation was going to go. He wasn't going to answer anything. And if he decided to answer something, he was going to stop when he wanted to. And if he didn't like what I said, he was going to invite his attorney in. Know each other? We go, no, we just happened to sit down and everybody was playing smart, you know. And we were running them so much that they were changing out the cards, and every 15 minutes they were changing out the dealers trying to beat us. And this one old lady, she was ordering Jack Daniels. And finally, when she got so drunk that she couldn't hold her head up, man, she said, I'm going to my room. So they counted her chips up for her, gave her a voucher, you know, and the next person came and sat down, and we're like, oh, what do you do? She says, I'm a math teacher. We are okay, so she's good. Very first hand, we lose because she hits on a 13, and everybody got up and walked away. And that's when the pit boss said, hey, would you be interested in going to dinner? I'm like, going to dinner? He goes, look, I'm not gay or anything like that. He goes, man, we just, you know, you don't know how good y'all were for the casino today. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, when y'all were winning so much, it made everybody think the tables were hot. So we had every table full of people trying to gamble. He goes, so I'd like to take you to dinner. So he took me down at the foot of the mountains to this German restaurant. It was real nice. And we got to talk. And he told me he had gone through a divorce. And we ended up becoming good friends. So every time I would go to Vegas, if it was a fight going on or something, he'd give me tickets to the fight. And I got to watch
Sounds
Tommy
like a
Hearn.
good friend to have.
Oh, man, it was unbelievable. He gave me tickets to Caesars to watch a fight. And I'm sitting next to Danny Glover and Sylvester Stallone. And I don't even know how I got there, you know? And so they're talking to me like they know me. And I'm like, okay, they must think I'm somebody that I'm not. And lo and behold, when it was over with, I asked the pit boss, I said, hey, you know, these guys were talking to me like they knew me. He goes, Troy, the problem was they didn't know you, but you had a seat that you couldn't buy. So everybody wanted to be friendly with you in case you were somebody that could help their career. I said, I'm the poorest one in the group. So that was my Vegas story. I'm a reserve deputy constable still in San Antonio and Bexar County. So we had our first African-American female get elected to the position. And I was going to stop and just strictly do this. I said, you know what, I'm just going to be 100% committed to the Black Swan Group. And she kind of asked me to stay on. She wanted me to go full time. I said, no. So she goes, Troy, will you stay on as a reserve for at least a year till I get my feet wet? I said, sure, I'll do that. Well, lo and behold, she put some guy as an assistant chief that was unqualified. And within 3 months, she realized he was unqualified and she demoted him. So he goes and files a complaint against another deputy chief over there at the shooting range, and he tosses a clipboard to him to sign in, and the guy took offense to it. Long story short, he and I had a run-in. We had a run-in early when he became an assistant chief, and I told him he wasn't qualified. He didn't like me telling him that, but the truth was the truth. And I told him he did something so stupid that you guys would appreciate it. He goes and runs back to the constable and says, Troy's being mean to me. I said, a 12-year-old does that, you know? He sends out nasty emails and then says, if anybody has an issue or a problem with it, to reach out to me. So I reached out to him. And then when I confronted him about his style, he got offended. And I'm like, well, why did you put in the email, reach out to you if you had an issue with it? I came to you instead of talking about you. I came to you. Well, after he filed a complaint against this other guy, the constable asked me if I would be the lead on investigating. So I called him in on Friday, set him down. We videotaped everything, and I used the skills on him. I smacked him around with the skills people. He went in trying to tell me how he was in charge. He was going to tell me how the conversation was going to go. He wasn't going to answer anything. And if he decided to answer something, he was going to stop when he wanted to. And if he didn't like what I said, he was going to invite his attorney in. So I go, sounds like you've already made up your mind on how you want to do this. And he looked at me, he's shaking like a leaf. He goes, well, yeah. He goes, and this is how it's going to be. I said, well, would you be opposed to signing all the necessary paperwork before we get started? So he's signing all the paperwork, you know, he's doing all this and that. And there's a sergeant in the room and he's just watching. At first, he's like, man, this dude is trying to bully, thinking he's bullying me. I hit him with labels. I hit him with mirrors. And then I killed him with dynamic silence. Every time I needed something, I did a calibrated question. I said, what about this conversation doesn't work for you? He goes, well, you know, the chief deputy, and he threw the thing, and I'm not going to talk about it. So I got quiet. 2 seconds later, he's running his mouth again. 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, he realized that he don't gave me everything I needed. I shook his hand, I thanked him, and I told him, you're done. He goes, okay, well, I hope you follow up on this. I said, I definitely will. And the sergeant was like, what did you just do? I go, what? He goes, he told everybody he wasn't going to talk to you. And I said, I let him say what he had to say. You know, he's assertive. I paused for a minute. He word vomiting. He was just word vomiting. And they got a chance to look at the video and everybody realized that his behavior didn't fit the situation. If he thought he threw a clipboard at him, why would he say he want this guy fired? He was all over the place. So he realized that he said more than he wanted to say. And I walked out happy on Friday saying, man, I got to use calibrated questions, labels, mirrors, and dynamic silence on him. I never had to paraphrase him because before I could even say anything, he would run his mouth again. Every time I hit him with a dynamic silence, he couldn't stand the quiet. So I got to use those skills Friday, and I'm closing out the case tomorrow.
Remember, you don't get in life what's fair, you get what you negotiate. If you want to become a better negotiator, click the link in the description below.
My question may be, I don't know, a little bit premature because my closing rate has increased using the techniques. But previously, I'm getting a lot of people saying, yes, I'm interested. Yes, we're going to do the deal. They're going to my funnel as the deal's done. We already discussed a date that I'm going to call them, and then I get ghosted.
Mm-hmm. So that's when you want to send an email.
So I don't work with email. I work a lot with WhatsApp.
Okay.
That it's just faster.
Okay. So I know a little bit about WhatsApp, and I'm not too good with that. So, but we have the thing you just want to ask, have you given up on?
Yeah, I do that. And then I do that about 2 or 3 times. I do that once, and then like I'll respond to them 2 or 3 times. I couldn't get hold of you. It's now a bad time to chat. Or I do that 2 or 3 times, and then I can see they've read it. The ticks are blue. And then my third one is, it looks like you've lost interest in this project and you don't want to do business with us.
Or have you given up on doing business with us?
Yeah.
That sounds like, you're a quitter. And if they don't respond, then what is that telling you?
Do I say that?
No. What, have you given up? Have you given up?
No, it sounds like you're a quitter.
No. You said it. You actually said that by saying, have you given up on this contract or this deal?
So it seems like you've lost interest in this project, or you're no longer interested in using our trading robot to make passive income. Is that too aggressive?
Yep, it's too long. You're trying to explain what they're missing out on.
So it seems like you've lost interest in this project.
Have you given up on?
Or have you given up on? Okay.
And if they have and they don't respond, then that means yes. The hardest part in this industry is when sometimes you're not going to get every deal. And if they don't want to do business with you, we take it personal sometimes. We take it hard. Move on.
One thing I learned just studying this whole method is there's the communication verbal element of the language that you're using to get the information that you need. The other element, and this is not discussed too much, is the physical side or of things. I'm not talking about body language, but in the example of Alan, when somebody's not responding, or when I'm trying to close or get money for fundraising or whatever the case is, usually I'll send them a thank you card or a box with a shoe delivered to their office so that when they open it, they'll have a note that says, now that I got my foot inside the door, if there's no response to that because you're trying, then obviously it's time to move on, right? But at least they'll have something memorable that they'll never forget. And I can tell you that I raised a lot of money just with that method. Because like you said, Troy, everybody's busy. Everybody has running 1,000 miles. But when they receive either a thank you note or some type of box with something that gets you inside that door, it's memorable.
You can do one of three things. You can get better, you can stay the same, or you can get worse. Two of those three things are going to require some effort.